Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, aka the Blue Blur, aka Blue Justice, and I am from the likes of the Mexi Toys videos once again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2, March of the Minis for the Nintendo DS. So, last time, we have essentially did manage to completely done with everything in terms of Floor 4, and that's what appears to be by the forms of Lava Land. And, yeah, that's all I can say about it. So today, for this video, is that we're going to be moving on to Floor 5, which appears to be Peach's Castle. Or, for those of you who lived in North America, not only this will become Floor 6, but also it gets like a different world name, which appears to be known as Toadstool Castle. So either way though, that's as far as I can usually tell for the specific differences between these two versions. So either way, let's dive right into Peach's Castle. So either way, exponentially speaking, this is where the game starts to get a bit difficult at this point. Not only because of some more obstacles, but also with two new level mechanics here and there, which is especially noticeable whenever we get to the forms of, I would say, on the third stage coming up. So but either way though, it's been about 6 days ago since I actually have last played this game for sure, because relatively speaking though about the fact that, well, been still busy playing through The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom still. Although sometimes I do take a break every once in a while, especially because of all that, well, despite the fact that the game has been out for about, you know what I mean, about the fact that since about 8 days ago. So as a result of that kind of stuff though, I might actually have to wait for a little while until when certain other playthroughs and guides will show up, because obviously if I'm about to get stuck in certain points, then obviously I can able to look up on something. So just to ensure that, well, don't worry, I'm still probably ignoring the spoiler parts for the time being, because obviously about the fact that, well, obviously it's the newest game. So either way, let's just go ahead and do just that. And of course we did somehow manage to activate the blue switch, so just in case we can able to block not only the piranha plants, but also with the fireballs themselves as well, whenever the fireballs comes out from the likes of the forms of the piranha plants, as you can tell. So either way, at least this stage is actually kind of easy, but sometimes memorization might take a bit of a while to get used to. So either way, so that pretty much does it for level 5-1. So now let's move on to level 5-2, and this is where we come across into ourselves the returning mechanic ever since in floor 2, which appears to be in Pipeworks, and that's what appears to be the water leveling system. Now I think fundamentally speaking, although I might be wrong, but this might actually technically be the last time seeing this particular mechanic like this, although I'm not exactly 100% sure about this yet though, mainly because about the fact that, well, at this point in time is about the fact that I'm pretty sure we're now on the halfway point in terms of the forms of this particular progress of Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2 so far. Because of that though, about the fact that we've only got quite a few levels to go at this point, especially concerning with all that particular progression is going pretty smoothly, all things considered. Although despite the fact that there are a couple of times though about the fact that sometimes that the actual process might take a bit while to able to get this thing going. So, but either way though, that might be saying something. So yeah, let's just let Mini Mario get that particular another card right here, so we can potentially try to able to go ahead and do the usual trick. So either way, a few things we want to explain for this point today, and that is that today's date, of course, there is the 20th of May today, in this case in 2023 today. Naturally speaking though about the fact that there are quite a few stuff I would like to mention, but I think I should probably save that conversation once we get to the later stages in this world. So either way, and of course luckily in this particular stage, as you can tell, only 2 Mini Marios in this particular level. So because of this though, thankfully we don't need to worry about just trying to take control of a multitude of Mini Marios at once. So either way, chances are though, because either way we have to do a lot of multitasking stuff. So either way, so this is where we come across into ourselves the moving platforms, as you can see on screen. And basically, all you have to do is just let Mini Mario stand on one of those moving platforms, and you have to wait until that particular silver stools, they manage able to stick out until when it reaches that certain point. And that way you can potentially try to let the Mini Marios move into one place to the other. So either way, and of course we got ourselves the iconic music in the background, which appears to be based off from Super Mario 64 Peach's Castle theme, which to be expected because, you know, it's the most iconic thing in the world. So as a result of that kind of stuff, though, everything else will be pretty much accounted for the sake of time. Now, of course, as far as I realized that we come across into Gold Mini Mario, as far as I can definitely see on screen. So, of course, we'll save him for last, just in case for points bonus, or a massive points bonus. So, either way, though, everything else will be pretty much expected by then, so... But anywho, though, as far as the forms of news and discussions, I would like to point things out is that recently, during the forms of the past few days, is that there are some good news to be found around here, but also we've stumbled across into very unfortunate news that I've somehow managed to realize about something. Well, first of all, before we get into more details onto this though, let's talk about something related to Sonic the Hedgehog stuff. Especially because we've only just got about, let's just say a month left now until Sonic Origins Plus is going to be releasing. So either way though, it's getting pretty close during that time, especially concerning about the fact that I'm pretty sure that both Mighty and Ray, including Tiana, they've already able to mention about that during the course of our Let's Plays of Donkey Kong Country Returns, as well as the forms of Metroid Fusion. So either way though, yeah, everything else will be pretty much as far as you can definitely tell from this point. And as far as any other Sonic news that I'd like to mention is that, well, apparently though, that when it comes to the forms of some new figurines they've got, basically that, well, First 4 Figures has just recently put up the Sonic Adventure statue, which I will say, it does look pretty cool and looks very accurate to the forms of how it does it on the actual box art, specifically based off from the likes of the Sega Dreamcast artwork, or the box art from the likes of the Dreamcast version of Sonic Adventure. Although it makes perfect sense, because obviously unlike Sonic Adventure DX, they obviously brings us into a different box art, which obviously brings us into some very obscure box art design compared to the forms of the iconic Dreamcast box art when it comes to Sonic Adventure alike. So, but either way though, that might be saying something. So, oh, and on top of that, there is technically a rumor that's been going on at the moment, despite the fact that I still don't trust rumors as much, that they did say that Minecraft might get ourselves the Sonic Textures DLC, might imagine able to make it happen, but either way though, it's hard to tell for this point, because I've never actually played Minecraft myself, especially, although I still heard about it, thanks to the forms of Steve is now on to the forms of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, as you probably already expect. But everything else though, I don't usually play Minecraft as much as the next guy, I must be honest. So, but anywho though, something's worth noting for is that one of those games in particular, called Wrestle Quest, where basically is about the fact that that particular game has been delayed at some point in summer this year. Specifically, either on June, July, or August. It's hard to tell at this point, because obviously still about the fact that the second half of the year might be still filled a bit bare bones right now for all these, not only in terms of gaming releases, aside from, you know, Hogwarts Legacy is now going to be pushed back on the Switch version for the likes of the forms of this coming November, in this year in particular. So either way though, because chances are though, that's what I can really think about it. Oh, and on top of all that stuff though, is about the fact that we actually got ourselves some very good news to discuss upon something, is that speaking of something related to Mario, that recently the Super Mario Bros. Movie has recently reached for worldwide box office earnings, it's now becoming the forms of the 4th highest grossing animated movie of all time. Well, at least as far as I believe some Toy Sales has already mentioned about this, I think anyway, but relatively speaking though, it's actually now on to $1.21 billion in worldwide box office. So, still pretty good, especially concerning about the fact that I'm really hoping that particular film will beat the likes of the forms of, or should I say, I would hoping that the Super Mario Bros. Movie box office will trump the forms of the Lion King remake box office, because, well, let's be quite frank, the live-action version of the Lion King is really, really awful. Especially I still prefer the original version any day. Especially because of all that, well, you know what I mean, the lack of emotions and stuff on the forms of the live-action adaptation of it. So, which I still have no idea why I still managed able to think about the forms of that particular good film as far as I just have no idea why back in the day that we just somehow see it. Especially that I think, if I recall correctly, that was the film that it did make me trying to able to deal with the films of the Sonic Boom Marathon in the first place. Well, despite the films of the Sonic Boom Marathon back in 2019, it was cancelled due to the films of, well, complications of recording sessions during that time, especially because of all that my phone is actually having a lot of issues when it comes to likely sending videos onto my laptop, especially because of all that stupid lack of memory for the likes of trying to record something a bit lengthy and longer. Not to mention though is that my cloud refuses to able to accept this fact, especially because whenever we try to do a test recording session from the likes of Sonic Boom, Shadow Crystal, or heck, even with Fire and Ice on top of that, basically the cloud icon just doesn't seem able to get a tick icon. So because of this though, maybe we might be able to try that marathon again at some point in next year. Marks the 10th anniversary of the Sonic Boom TV series. Well, at least in Sonic Boom in general. So either way though, but we shall see in what happens in due time, especially because we're still hoping that we can able to decide to do Sonic Frontiers. God knows when that particular playthrough will be up, but I'm sure we'll able to stay tuned for that, especially because, well, relatively speaking, that we're actually getting quite close to the, well, towards the very end of the first half of 2023. But I will say, the first half of 2023 is actually pretty solid, but as a result, as I said before, that the second half is kind of bare bones at the moment. But hopefully we're able to hear some news to able to mention about, and join at some point or later down the road. So either way, and on top of all that stuff, that was about the fact that there's also another news I would like to point out, is that, speaking of the Super Mario Bros. Movie, is that was actually currently, by far, is actually on to its third best box office earnings when it comes to Illumination and stuff. Like, usually, relatively speaking, that film is now the third Illumination film to be generated at $1 billion after its premieres. You know, after the events of Minions and Despicable Me 3. So as a result, yeah, it's actually doing really well. So either way though, which is a good thing, because obviously Mario, he's the most iconic video game characters of all time, so, which makes obvious sense. So, anyway, and speaking of such though, that the update has been coming up, or it did technically speaking already exist during the informs of about 2 days ago, roughly. That's what appears to be Tales of Symphonia Remastered did receive an update from the likes of 2 days ago, and they did manage to mention about quite a few fixes here and there. Like, for instance, they fixed an issue that was causing significant processing slowdowns while moving through the sandstorm area of Triad, I think is what it says anyway. And they also fixed an issue where the game would freeze at the end of certain boss battles, and they also fixed an issue where the screen would black out and become inoperable while navigating certain world maps and towns. And also they fixed an issue where the background music would be interrupted when moving to the world map after a boss battle, or a battle to be more specifically. And finally, most notably, they managed able to do other minor bugs has been fixed. So, which I can't possibly think about on top of my head, especially because, well, relatively speaking, I haven't exactly got that game either. But from what I've heard, it's actually quite alright for that particular remastered, based off from the likes of the GameCube title. So it seems to be more specifically that at this point in time we're about to able to get a lot of like remasters or ports every now and then, especially because of how the fact that since after all, The Legend of Zelda finally gets the Tears of the Kingdom gets its release after the events of 8 days ago, as I said before. But relatively speaking, I'm not exactly sure what's going to be up next for The Legend of Zelda stuff. Well, it could possibly be by the likes of DLC, so I think it might actually save that DLC mentioning during the informs of possibly the next Nintendo Direct. But either way though, time will tell, especially because about the fact that, well, it was just in earlier stages when it comes to the forms of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom at this point. So, what I thought was quite interesting about the forms of Gold Mini Mario is that obviously he can also utilize the fire power-ups as well, or fire flower power-up, which I know it seems kind of strange to say things like that. I mean, relatively speaking, it's just a way of how the fact that I think that's how it's gonna be. Although, mind you, I will admit though right away, this level is pretty tricky when it comes to able to get this level just right. Especially because, well, again, you have to utilize with the another level mechanic, as you can tell. And that's what appears to be the actual weighty balance scale. Which, as a result, about the fact that I'm sure you've probably already seen the footage already to see how this thing operates. So, either way though, at least we did somehow manage to do this on the first attempt though, at the very least. So, anyways, and now let's move on to room, well, let's just say floor 5, room 8. So, either way though, it seems like a very standard level. Now, of course, we have to get away from this particular thing right here, so just in case we don't able to get caught by it. So, anywho though, and let's move those 2 Mini Marios out of the way, so just in case we can able to just, well, block this specific point, because I think something tells me that much like the forms of one of those levels in the forms of in Lava Dome, or Lava Land, to be more specific, basically, I don't think it's necessary to able to actually get those coins down there, because I think it is quite literally impossible, because those spikes are in the way. So that pretty much explains it how that doesn't seem it's going to be possible to able to actually get every single collectibles in this particular stage. So let me go ahead and line up those Mini Marios within the exact same distance. So either way though, we can able to do just that. And once again, we have to just let them onto those springs. At least one of the springs anyway. So, and that pretty much does it. So, and that way, we should able to get ourselves a good score in no time. So, huzzah. Anyway, so there's also another good news we'd like to mention, and that's what appears to be by the forms of, we got ourselves a new update in terms of the forms of Pokemon Go. And this time, they'll added in the forms of a Master Ball. So yeah, about time they able to finally got themselves the Master Ball. So either way though, that basically means about the fact that Master Ball is without a doubt the most powerful item of all time to able to catch, legendary Pokemon if you got lucky. So, assuming that's what I think about it. So, either way though, yeah, about time to able to actually finally get ourselves the Master Ball in the forms of Pokemon Go. So yeah, pretty cool and pretty awesome at the same time, despite the fact that I don't usually play Pokemon Go as much anymore, mainly because I'm more into other franchises, as you probably already expect. So, but then again, I might be biased when it comes to that specific franchises I do prefer. So either way though, yeah, I apologize for my commentary. It's a bit slightly wonky at points, mainly because about the fact that I think, I almost, belched all of a sudden, which I know it sounds incredibly gross for saying that, because obviously I still eat tons of chili dogs every once in a while, which to be expected at this point. So anyway, so let's go down here, so just in case we can able to do a bit of a strategy around here, so just in case we don't want to waste time, because obviously if you waste too much time, basically if your time runs out, much like the forms of the first Mario vs. Donkey Kong game, basically Mario would say, "Mamma mia, time's up." But he doesn't do that little particular kind of noise that he makes whenever he gets a time over and stuff like that. Whilst I believe that particular line will also be reused from the likes of Mini's March again. Although, as far as Mini Land Mayhem and onwards, doesn't seem to able to have that feature anymore. So, kind of stinks though, whenever you do manage to able to hear that, voice as far as this is concerned. I mean, sure, it might be, seems a bit underwhelming at points, but either way, that's what I can really think about it. Alright, so here's what I was thinking about. Let me go ahead and put that elevator downwards and trying to get back up, and we'll scout able to do a bit of a tricky situation around here, similar to the forms of how it does it on level 9, or should I say room 9, from the likes of the forms of Lava Land, and there we go. thankfully we did manage to get closer to the point right there, so either way, that pretty much takes care of that particular level. I would have liked able to explain any other details at this point, but honestly I think I'm pretty much run out of time as it is, so... And relatively speaking though about the fact that we've only got 2 levels to go. So for instance we'll do the usual mini game right here. So of course 25 Shy Guys to smash, so to be expected at this point. And eventually we'll come across into our next Donkey Kong boss fight. So either way, and yeah, I'm quite surprised that it's gone a lot quicker than I was expecting it to. Even though, mind you, it does take me a bit while to get used to with the puzzle layout still, especially because, as I said before, it's been about 6 days ago since I actually have last played this game. So either way, and sure enough, we've got enough points to our disposal. So either way, and that was it. So because the yellow lights signifies the actual timer, so... Although you can also see the timer on there as well, but either way, it looks like we got something new on here for the construction mode. So anyways, time to take on Donkey Kong for the 6th time in this particular game itself. So either way, and something tells me this boss battle right there is pretty similar to the forms of how it does it in Magnet Mania World. Although the noticeable difference is this time he just now rocks back and forth in any direction. So because of that, this boss might actually feel to be a slightly trickier version of the forms of Magnet Mania, although the noticeable difference is this time, rather than utilizing the forms of those donut platforms in order to deal the damage on Donkey Kong, so instead you have to land on these specific mushroom shields, and that way it deals the damage. So either way though, yeah, it's definitely a bit trickier, but honestly, he's actually not too difficult to me though, although the only time he's a bit trickier point is of course the actual constant rocking back and forth that he's gonna keep on going. So because of that though, when you get the timing going, it shouldn't be too bad. So either way, but eventually once we get to the next floor, I think this is where the boss fights gets like significantly harder, which you'll find out why during at some point until tomorrow, and potentially speaking until next Saturday as well. So either way though, and yeah, that's what I can say about this boss fight. It's just Magnet Mania 2.0, except it takes place in Peach's Castle. So either way, speaking of Peach's Castle, well, that particular world is fully completed. So yeah, we're almost there, folks. We're almost there. So either way, at least thankfully, unlike the future games and onwards though, that's basically I don't think there's going to be any plus variations of certain worlds like this. So anyway, so I think suffice to say, we're going to end things off at this point right here. So join me tomorrow for more of Let's Play of Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2, March of the Minis, and that is about the fact that we'll move on to floor 6, which appears to be Spooky Attic. So this will be interesting. So I'll see you guys until tomorrow. Later, fellas.